Alcohol at a new Chicago area location. We'll explain why. Where attendance numbers always inflated at the Illinois State Fair. That accusation yesterday from a state spokesperson. Partly sunny, pleasant, and warmer today with a high near 75. Complete look at your weather forecast coming up after Fox News. WIND Chicago News Times 7.
Down by a fired ex-co-worker who was known on TV as Bryce Williams. Fox News Radio's John Decker live where it happened in Moneta. A growing memorial has formed outside the Roanoke TV station where reporter Allison Parker and cameraman Adam Ward worked. And there is shock, sadness, and anger here in Southwest.
Okay. Huh? Hello?
Hi, Mr. Vicente Serrano.
Yes.
Hi, this is Cesar Perez calling from AM 560 WIND. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, sister?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for coming on the show with us this morning.
Hey, thank you for inviting me.
You're going to be on with our usual hosts, Stan Prost and Amy Jacobson, okay?
Perfect.
I'll put you on hold here, Vicente. They're going to come to you right out of the commercial break. You'll hear them introduce you and bring you right on, okay?
Thank you, sister.
All right, no problem.
To promote existing hair growth for men and women. You'll love your hair growth results, guaranteed. Viviscal is so effective, it's recommended by top doctors. Want to try Viviscal? Every listener that calls now gets a 90-day risk-free supply plus free shipping. Call now, 800-881-6190. 800-881-6190. That's 800-881-6190.
7:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. The latest on the morning commute. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. On the inbound Kennedy, it's slow now from Harlem, most of the way downtown. 31 minutes O'Hare to the Circle. It's 18 from Montrose, 14 on the Express. Outbound 18 minutes to Montrose and 32 to the airport. The inbound Edens has about a 2-minute delay approaching the junction. Still good outbound. Eisenhower, slow Mannheim to Harlem. 41 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, and outbound it's 41 as well. Stevenson, 46 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 40. Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown, outbound now clear. I-57, 16 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop 426. Northbound Lakeshore Drive, slow, Roosevelt through Grant Park. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go 95th to LaGrange Road. From the Stevenson to Ogden, Reagan Tollway to Grand Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway, stop and go 31 to 59 and heavy from the Des Plaines Oasis to Lee. Reagan Tollway slow from the Aurora Toll to Eola. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. It's a service of Air Comfort, a tradition of excellence since 1935. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, partial sunshine, high 75. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 59. Some sun, then clouds tomorrow with a high 79 and a late night shower, low 66. Couple of showers and a thunderstorm later Saturday, humid with a high 79. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Sunshine, 53 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the New American Funding Mortgage Radio Show, giving you up-to-the-minute advice on mortgage rates and programs every Sunday afternoon at 1.
Good morning. Welcome to your Thursday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
What happened today was unlike anything so many of us can remember. A murder on live TV, the video almost immediately surfacing online, and then compounded by shocking videos of the incident from the killer himself, posted on social media while he was on the run.
Magnified by technology, this is the latest workplace homicide. Between 1997 and 2010, there were almost 900 committed by a coworker or former coworker. The difference this time is we could see it.
It breaks my heart every time you read about or hear about these kinds of incidents. What we know is that the number of people who die from gun-related incidents around this country dwarfs any deaths that happen through terrorism.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. And so, obviously, the Virginia shooting is a little bit more serious than a spat between a reporter and a presidential candidate. But that spat has the spat, of course, I'm talking about is between Sideshow Donald and Jorge Ramos from Univision. And that spat has implications because the issue that is dominating the conversation right now as it pertains to the presidential campaign is immigration. So it's not just the kind of personal back and forth between those two individuals. It's the larger issue, not just the question Ramos asked or tried to ask, which is a pedestrian question. It's a question that Donald Trump has been asked many times. All the candidates have. It's a question we've been wrestling with since 1986, basically, when the immigration reform under Reagan didn't particularly hold up the enforcement end of the promise.
Donald Trump can't answer it because he doesn't have a solution. He's just barking out sound bites that people want to hear. That's my interpretation.
Well, for another interpretation, maybe similar, we're joined by Vicente Serrano. Vicente is a former Telemundo here in Chicago. He's a colleague of ours. He's a radio talk show host, Sin Censura, AM 750. Vicente, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me, Dan, Amy.
So your take on that little spat between Ramos and Trump was within his right to say, you have to wait until you're called on to be asked a question at my press conference, and if you can't do that, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
I don't know who's right on this situation, but I think we're missing the big picture. I think we're too worried about who's right and who's wrong, and I think we're missing the point that the debate should be on the issue, immigration reform. And I think the fact you ask if Donald Trump should apologize to Jorge Ramos, I think Donald Trump should apologize to the immigrant community for poisoning the debate. And it's a shame that the Republicans are not putting a stop on Donald Trump on this. And it seems that it's a competition now between Republicans of who's gonna bring up an initiative that is worse to the immigrants.
I did not think Jorge Ramos was out of line at all by asking the question, because people want to know, people who are here illegally, people who have loved ones who are here illegally want to know what his plan is. If he's going to take them out in the middle of the night while they're sleeping, is he going to put them on trains? I mean, it just sounds so horrific and so inhumane.
Of course, and it's personal to us. It got to be personal. He was born in Mexico. I was born in Mexico, and we all have. I'm pretty sure that the vast majority of the Latino community has a relative or a friend who is undocumented. It's a personal situation for us. And when someone says that wants to deport my cousin, my uncle, I do have a problem with that. And I applaud Jorge for confronting Donald Trump. And I applaud Jose Diaz-Balart, who was shut down by Donald Trump a few weeks ago during a press conference, for standing up for the entire community.
But what about the underlying issues, though, Vicente? I mean, the issue of controlling our borders, that's what any responsible country would want to do. It was first and foremost the inability of this government even to deport violent criminals that there seems to be unanimity should be deported back to their home countries, whether their home countries want them or not. Do you understand why there is frustration over the lack of control of our borders to such extent that you have violent criminals that are committing violent crimes against Americans, that we can't even begin there?
Yes, and I understand. I don't want criminals in my neighborhood. I live in Chicago, and I don't want to be around rapists and drug dealers. But why don't we talk about the good stories of immigrants? Why do we focus on the bad side of this immigrant experience? And we got to be responsible also in the media to give some space and some time to these rants of Donald Trump and all the Republicans that believe that it's okay to deny citizenship rights to kids born in the United States of immigrant or undocumented parents. That's ludicrous.
But before we get to birthright citizenship, go back again. Why don't we get to the good stories? I'm happy to tell the good stories. I mean,
Donald Trump tells some good stories too.
There's a lot of Republicans.
Like what? Because I haven't heard.
That he's hired a lot of Hispanics, and his driver
Thank you very much.
27 years is Hispanic, and he loves them. Blah blah blah.
Well, but the problem with getting to the good stuff, if you will, and I'm a pretty pro-immigrant Republican. The problem with getting to the good stuff is that we can't get rid of the bad elements. And that's a real problem, because they're preying on people they shouldn't be preying on, because they shouldn't even be here. And so it doesn't seem to me that the left, and I'm not suggesting you are, but that the Democrats and those that are kind of most indifferent to the state of affairs with respect to our border security really appreciate the negative enough to deal with it so that we can accentuate the positive.
Yeah, but Dan, come on, let's be serious. When we think about the bad apples, no one in the Latino community will defend a rapist or a drug dealer or a killer. No,
I understand that. But so what do we do about it when we have a federal government that can't even get rid of that small fraction that are the violent criminals?
But you're missing a very important point.
You lose trust in the system.
But you're missing a very important point. Obama has become the deporter in chief. He has deported more than 2 million people during his time in the White House. Come on.
Yeah, but nobody knows that. Nobody.
We need to report.
He's deporting them, and they come back.
That's the thing, because most of the people he's turning away are on the border and come back on a daily basis.
Yeah, that number is kind of a manufactured. He's deporting them. They come back. They're being processed for deportation, but they're not really deported. That's a little bit of fun with government statistics.
Okay, I disagree with the way you see it, Don, because at the end, are we sure about that we're deporting them and they're coming back? So why do we have this problem in Central America, for example, with gangs? They just call them or they label them in El Salvador as terrorists. They have a huge situation because of our responsibility while we deport these criminals. We have a responsibility to these countries too when we deport people. It's not like let's deport them and that's it. It's not our problem. Of course, it's a regional situation, and we need to be more responsible when we debate about immigration.
Donald Trump has said time and time again, Latinos love me. I'll get the Latino vote. Do you personally know of any Latinos who are supporting Donald Trump?
And I will say, you know, besides Latinos or non-Latinos, it's a shame that people are supporting this venomous debate, this speech by Donald Trump that is irresponsible, and it's poisoning the debate, the responsible debate that we should have about immigration. No, I don't know anybody that will support Donald Trump. And to be honest, you know, those people supporting Donald Trump are, as I will say this and probably will be controversial, but they're as racist as Donald himself.
Well, I'm not sure that Donald is a racist. I think he's a bit.
Oh no! How do you call someone that wants to take birthright citizenship of a kid that was born in the United States from undocumented parents? What would you call someone that calls Latinos that are coming, or Mexicans that are coming from Mexico, rapists, criminals? I think I have done a really good job. My family has been a good story. So I cannot condone, I cannot accept that speech by Donald Trump.
I understand the recklessness with which Donald Trump speaks, but I'm not so sure that there's an underlying racism there. But here's the larger question. Here's the larger question. Number one, we're not just talking about.
Dan, can I interrupt you for a second? That's the problem with the Republican Party. That's the problem. The problem with Republicans. They're always excusing this hate speech.
Well, I'm not excusing. I'm not a supporter of Donald Trump. I'm not excusing the way he speaks. But I also want to ask you this question. So the Jeb Bush, who was popular in Florida when he was governor among Latino voters, he's getting about 27% of the Latino vote against any Democrat matchup. So explain this to me. What young Latinos in particular, which liberal, hip, 70-year-old Democrat presidential candidate really gets them? Explain to me why we've got 73-27, 70-30, 75-25 Latinos voting for the Democrats, and it becomes at a certain point like, okay, well, if there's nothing that we can say, if there's no look you're going to give beyond Donald Trump, because there's 17 candidates in the field, then why engage at all?
Now we're talking. The problem is that the Democrats and Republicans are not serious about this issue. The Democrats, I think, have been historically telling us, and when I say us, the Latino community, they're telling us what we want to hear. But unfortunately, they haven't delivered.
Yeah, I mean, President Obama promised immigration reform within the first 90 days of his presidency, and he didn't get into it until he lost control of the House. So he could have done something, and he never acted. So I thought that he lied to the Hispanic community.
Why does he have to deliver? There's no electoral consequences. No. There's no electoral consequences for not delivering. So
exactly.
Why deliver?
And also, I will say that whatever during the crisis that we have with the kids crossing the border by themselves, alone and through the border, illegally from Central America mostly, Hillary Clinton said very controversial things that are going to haunt her in the general campaign.
Vicente Serrano, definitely want to have you back to continue this conversation as the election proceeds on both sides and then ultimately to the general, but we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Amy. And I will say this to the people listening. Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it again and again. This already happened in the 1930s. And I think I'm seeing it all over again. Learn.
Thanks, Vicente. I appreciate your time.